So the first thing is he must command the people to worship the God they know, Deuteronomy 13 and 18. The prophet Mohammed did that. He said, worship one God. So that's the first thing. The second thing is give a true prophecy of a future event or a miracle, Deuteronomy 13, 18. Prophet Muhammad did that.
First of all, you're talking about a prophet has to preach the true God, and Muhammad did that. And then you talked about a prophet has to have a prophecy that comes to pass. Now, that's partially correct, because even Deuteronomy 13, which you appealed to yesterday, the Lord Jesus, as well as Moses, state that even if a prophet prophesied something to come to pass, that's still not proof he's a true prophet. Here it is. Deuteronomy 13, verses 1 to 5. If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces to you a sign or wonder, and if the sign or wonder spoken of takes place, and the prophet says, let us follow other gods you have not known, and let us worship them, you must not listen to the words of the prophet or dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart, with all your soul. It is the Lord your God you must follow, and him you must revere. Keep his commands and obey him, serve him and hold fast to him. That prophet or dreamer must be put to death for inciting rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. The prophet or dreamer tried to turn you from the way the Lord your God commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. Now, Jesus confirms this. Matthew 24, verses 23 to 25. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here's the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I've told you ahead of time. So both the Old Testament, New Testament state, it is insufficient. It's not sufficient enough. Just because a prophet announces the future and comes to pass or does a miracle, that in of itself is not conclusive, irrefutable proof that he's a true prophet from the true God. So the criterion that's really important, you mentioned it. He must proclaim the same true God. So I'm going to repeat what I mentioned yesterday. Since you're appealing to Deuteronomy, and since you're appealing it because we believe it, that means we are to judge by it. That same book of Deuteronomy specifically states, and I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 14, verse 1, where it says the Israelites are the sons and daughters of the living God. Deuteronomy 32, verse 6, it says that Yahweh begot Israel as his sons. And that's repeated in Deuteronomy 32, verses 18 to 20, where God is chastening the Israelites, saying that they pretty much ignored and abandoned the rock who gave them birth, the rock who spiritually begot them, the rock who spiritually birthed them, the rock who spiritually fathered them, because God is not a physical being. He doesn't have sex. Now in Exodus 4:22, we're also told that Israel is God's firstborn. He says that. He tells Moses to tell Pharaoh, Israel's my firstborn son. Let my son go that he may worship me. And if you do not let my son go, I will kill your firstborn. So right away, the God of the Old Testament is a spiritual father to his covenant people. They are his spiritual children that he spiritually birthed, spiritually fathered, not sexually. Chapter 5, verse 18 of the Quran. Chapter 19, verses 80 to 93 state, neither the Jews nor the Christians are the sons of Allah nor his beloved. They are just simply creatures. The highest relationship you can have with Allah is a slave to master relationship. So it's not the same conception of God. Just add a couple more points because we'll stay on the conception of God before we move to other things. The same Pentateuch that you're referring to speaks of the messenger of the Lord, the messenger of God. There is a specific figure who's sent by God, who claims to be God, who is worshipped as God, and does things that only God can do. For instance, in Genesis 31, verses 10 to 13, Jacob has a dream in which he sees the angel of God coming to his aid to save him from the oppression of his father Laban. And the angel of the Lord says, and Jacob says, it's the angel of God. And the angel Lord says to Jacob, I have seen all that Laban has done to you, for I am the God of the house of God, Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. So the angel calls himself the God of the house of God. It's like an angel saying, I'm the God of the Kaaba. And yet Jacob knows this is the angel, and yet knows that this is no mere creature. He's a messenger sent from God, who's also God. Therefore, the Pentateuch opens up the door for God existing as a plurality of persons. To add another one, Genesis 1, verses 1 and 2, it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And when the earth was without form and void, the Spirit of God hovered over the watery deep. And elsewhere we're told in Job 33, verse 4, the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. So just to recap this point so we can talk about it. The Pentateuch that you refer to says God is a spiritual father. Israel is a spiritual son. The angel of the Lord is distinct from God, but happens to be God, is worshipped as God, and does things only God can do. Thirdly, the Spirit of God is creator. He was there overseeing the formation of the earth, making earth habitable, making life possible to exist on earth. And then we're told The Spirit of God has made me. So God, the angel, and the Spirit, these three are identified as being fully divine, doing things that only God can do. So did Muhammad believe that? Did Muhammad believe Allah is a father to the Muslims, spiritually, not physically? Did he believe that the angel of the Lord is God, distinct from God, can only do what God does? And do you believe that the Spirit of Allah, Ruh Allah, is creator and life giver? If not, then it's not the same God.